You know what? How about this, Frank? Are you ready to step into the Ascension Millennium?
I've been ready.
Let's take a step. Is this the one and only Mr. Corey Feldman?
It is. How are you?
It is. How the hell you doing, Mr. Feldman?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Hey, we got the time zones correct this week.
Yeah, I know. That's amazing. Amazing. Technology at its finest.
You know, I was freaking out last week. I see you on Twitter, like,
Me
freaking
too,
out,
man.
and I'm like, oh, no.
Right? I know. I was like, wait a minute, what happened? But I guess what happened was that it was never actually officially confirmed by the publicist until, like, the last minute. So
You're right.
when she confirmed it, I guess, like, there was a screw-up in the time. I don't know if it came from you or from them or from whatever. But Stacey's awesome. She's wonderful. She got it all back on track. So thanks, Stacey, and here we are.
Here we are. Hey, before we get into the whole world of Corey Feldman, are you a sports fan?
You know what? I have to be honest. I was always very inept when it came to sports. Therefore, I decided very early on, as you can see from my early work in the TV show The Bad News Bears, that was like basically a reality show for me. So the bottom line is, yeah, I'm not the most talented guy in the world of sports. Therefore, I just kind of decided to stay away from the whole genre and focus on what I do best.
Gotcha. Okay, because I was going to ask you if you knew about this whole Riley Cooper thing and what you thought about it. But,
nope,
yeah.
I don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Uneducated. I'm uneducated, and I'm not afraid to admit when I don't know shit about something.
Well, that's good, because, you know, at least you don't want to sound stupid and say something stupid about something you don't know about.
Exactly, which a lot of people tend to do. So I try to be original in the sense that, like, yeah, if I've got an opinion, if I've got a point to say and it's intelligent, then I will be the first to say it. But if I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, I am not afraid to admit that.
Very good. Well, I'm sure you know about a lot about your life, so let's talk about you, your life,
I think
your
I got
career,
that.
your music.
Although it depends which day you ask me, man. I might be like, I don't know. But, yeah.
Now, you just brought up something which I didn't even, like, as we were going through all this stuff last week as we were preparing for you, I said to my co-host, Frank, Frank, oh, my God, I totally forgot about the Bad News Bears TV show back in the day.
That's right. We all had to start somewhere, you know.
Now, did you ever try out for, like, the movies, or you just went right for the
Yeah, no, I was too young when the movies were happening, man. I was, you know, I'm not that old, jeez. But yeah, by the time the TV show came around, the movies were done, and this was kind of like, you know how they do it, like the movies are popular and they can't milk any more out of it, so it's like, hey, let's take it to TV now, you know, do that
right.
all over again. That's what happened.
That's funny. That's
and
funny.
I was still the youngest guy on the TV show, you know.
Now, which one did you play?
I was Reggie. I was Reggie Tower, which was the third. Actually, I was shortstop.
Okay.
So I always got hit by the ball. And that was kind of like the joke. That was the joke of the show, is that I always got hit with the ball.
You always got hit with the ball.
You know, I guess it was funny to, like, the rest of the world, but when you're a kid who's already, like, being beat up at home and being beat up at school and all this crap, and it's like, oh, great, now I got to come to work and get beat up too. Cool.
You've had a pretty crazy life, man.
Yes, I have. There's no question on that.
Like, early on, I guess, like, you started doing commercials. I mean, I guess your parents, like, got you all, did they kind of push you all into this?
Well, you know, call it what you will, but typically speaking, 3-year-olds don't make career decisions.
Right.
Right. So, as I always say, you know, I was famous before I knew my own name, and that is a true fact. You know, I was literally being asked to sign autographs, and I didn't know what that meant. You know, wow. So, you know, I mean, it's all in the book. My book's coming out October 29th. It's called
really?
Choreography. Yes, indeed. And it is available for pre-order right now.
Nice. Where can we get that at?
It's available for pre-order at Amazon.com and at iTunes.com. I think maybe even like Barnes & Noble and stuff. But, like, yeah, you can go online. You can pre-order your copy today. You're still not going to get it any earlier.
Right.
But I know that, like, if you get it right now, it's like $12. And if you wait till it comes out, it's like $30. So, yeah, go get it now if you can.
Wow.
So are you going to be doing a book tour, too, when it comes out?
I will be.
All right, you'll have to let us know when you're in the Philly area. We'll definitely plug that and get that out there for you.
Hold on one second, guys. I don't mean to be rude, but my child has a very important question for me right now, so I've got to listen.
Connor's mom said Connor has to go with his friend, and I'm asking you if I can go.
Where?
To his house, not that far.
For how long?
Oh.
Well, I need more details than that. I need to know for how long and who you're going with and all that kind of stuff. Is she going to stay with you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. If she's going to stay with you, it's fine.
But I'm going to go to their house.
Right. Is she going to stay there with you the whole time? Okay. As long as she stays there, then it's fine. Love you. Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
Parenting with Corey Feldman.
That was actually great.
Did you guys hear that? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, totally.
I was trying to cover the phone.
No, it's quite all right because we're touching on your career. I mean, you've done it all. You've been in movies. You're a rocker. You've been on TV, and now we got the parenting side. So basically, we're getting the whole Corey tonight.
Right. Well, that's the side that I usually try to keep in, shrouded in secrecy and privacy because I really try to protect my son from being out in the public eye at all. I do my best to keep pictures of his face off of the internet. I mean, even in the book, there's like a picture of him as an infant, and then there's a picture of him older. But the picture of him older is like his face is kind of covered because I just really don't want him to have to deal with all of it. You know what I mean? Like it's not fair to him. I want him to have the chance to have a normal life. And as we were saying, in the beginning of my career, obviously my parents put me into it, before I knew what the hell was going on. And, as a 3-year-old, I'm out there working every day. And, a lot of people say, well, so when did you decide to become a singer? That started at 3 too, folks. So a lot of people don't realize this, but in my early days, my parents would actually stick me in a room and with a record player, and they'd say, learn the song. You're going to play it over and over until you memorize it, and then you got to come out and perform it for us. And that was kind of part of my little niche was that when I went into auditions, I would sing. And, that was kind of like it upped, I guess, the cuteness factor because I wasn't a very good singer to boot. I was actually pretty awful. So I think that it was just kind of like, look at this ridiculous, retarded little kid who's like, funny and fat and chubby and stuff. So they would kind of laugh at me and then they'd feel bad and they'd give me the job.
And what kind of songs would they have you try to sing?
Like Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head or like Junk Food Junkie by Jim Croce. I mean, stuff that most of your listeners would not know today.
So they didn't have you trying to learn Kiss songs or nothing?
No, but it's funny you say that because Kiss was one of my first major influences in rock and roll.
See that? Very good, very good.
Hit the nail on the head there.
Very good.
Very well done.
Now, right there, I mean, how old's your son?
He's going to be 9 next week, actually.
Wow. Okay. I have 3 kids myself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've gone through a lot of stuff in my life, nowhere near as much as you, but is not the hardest thing being a parent and making parental decisions, just like you were doing right there? Isn't that so scary?
I don't want to say no. I don't like hurting his feelings. I don't like seeing that little pouty lip quiver, and all that. But at the same time, they left about you? Oh, I'm sorry, honey. Oh, see, well, there you go. Just got the pouty lip right there. Right as I was talking about it. But anyway, so, that's the thing is that, you want to always, make them happy. But then at the same time, you've got to make the right decision. You got to make the safe decision, and you got to make sure that they're always protected, even if sometimes they don't feel that that's the best thing. So those are the tough choices: is when to say no. And at the same time, it's the biggest and most important thing for me as a parent is telling my kid every day that I love him, and every day that he's great and that he's the best kid in the world because I really believe he is, and bolstering their self-confidence and their pride and letting them know that they're good, but then also keeping the ego in check, like, hey, you're great, you're an amazing kid, but don't run around, acting like you're better than everybody else because if you do that, then I'm going to knock you down a few spots too.
Now, does he understand like the stuff you've done in your career, like with the movies and music and all that?
Oh yeah, he's very proud. I mean, I'm definitely, he always says my band is like, his top favorite, right next to Pink Floyd and the Beatles and Michael Jackson. Like those are his 4 loves of music right there, which ironically happen to be my top 4 choices. So, hey, good job. He's got good taste. What can I say?
That's good parenting right there.
What did you say? What?
That's good parenting right there.
Exactly. Well, you got to start them early if they're going to take over the family business one day. I'm not saying that I would never want him in the business, or I'd never want him to, kind of take over when I'm, decrepit and falling apart or something. But I just don't want him to have to deal with it now. You know what I mean? Like when he turns, 16, 17, he starts thinking about, vocational choices and things like that. Then yes, of course, I will aid him in any way that I can to, hopefully give him a great standing in whatever it is that he chooses to do. But it shouldn't be my influence, and it shouldn't be my decision. It should be his own choice on what he wants to do in life. Unless, the kid ends up being, like, lazy or something, and then you're like, all right, get off your butt and go to work. But that said, I really believe and strongly support in the child, defining their own life and making what they want out of it, as opposed to trying to, kind of predetermine it. I mean, let's face it, we're born in America for a reason, because we are allowed the freedom of choice in what we do in life. And who am I to take that away from him? And that's the one thing, people say, do you have any regrets? And it's like, I don't have any regrets, but, I'm not going to lie, my life has not been a bowl of cherries, and there has definitely been some massive negatives and downsides to my career. And, I don't want to put him through all that, if he doesn't have to, because at the end of the day, if it's something he wants more than anything, I'll support him. But if it's not, then I'm not going to make him do something he doesn't want to do. I'm going to go, hey, great, do something else. I'll support you.
Is there times that you kind of wish maybe your parents didn't force you into the entertainment business?
Well, yeah, I mean, as I was saying, the one thing that I may regret or be upset about, in the long haul is the fact that I never had choice. It's basically like, human slavery, right? Like I was told, this is what you're going to do. And you're going to work, and you're going to support the family. And if there's ever a time that you don't get work, then you're going to be punished because we need the income. And then I didn't have, I turned 18. I didn't have $1 to my name because they had used it all. And, it's just, it was done improperly. I mean, that's the bottom line. It was done improperly. So, not to say that every family out there is going to misguide their child or misuse the funds or whatever, but here's the big thing. Okay, this is the big bottom line of it all, is that you have to understand that there are children out there in the world who go into the movie business, who go in the entertainment business, and they may come out completely unscathed. They may have none of the negatives, none of the debauchery, none of the, the bad stuff that can happen. They may have a totally normal, life and experience and whatever and be fine with it. But if they become ultra famous as a kid, and then they turn 15 and they become awkward looking and they hit that weird stage and they stop getting work, but they're already famous, what's that kid going to do now? Everywhere they go, they're recognized. Their name and their face has been plastered all over the world, and now they're this famous person, and it's like, well, what do I do about it now? Because I can't just go get a job at Kmart, right? I can't just go get a job at, McDonald's. I can't just go get a job even in my dentist's office, because it's like people are going to look at you and go, well, too bad that career didn't work out, huh? And do you know how demeaning that is? Do you know how, terribly, insulting and giving, the sense of, complete failure to a kid? That's just not right.
Not even to a kid, to anybody.
Well,
but to a kid more,
especially to a kid, because people, look, you blame them for their own mistakes in life, right? You made this choice, you didn't go the way you wanted it. Well, too bad, deal with it. But when it's a kid, hey, they didn't make that choice. It's the same as molestation. It's the same as rape charges. It's the same as alcohol. It's the same as anything. There's a reason why there is a age limit on particular things, and those things all have to do with making decisions that will affect the rest of your life. So why should it be any different for kids in the business? You know what I mean? They should not be forced to make decisions that are going to affect the rest of their life.
Now, do they have, like, I know, like, in sports, like, I've read lately, like, in the NFL, like, they'll give, like, classes to, like, these rookies that come in, like, you know, how to manage their money, how to do this, how to do that, and how to, you know, conduct themselves like mature, responsible human beings. Do they do anything like that as well for, like, child actors or anything?
Nothing.
Really?
I wish. Yeah, I wish. I mean, you know, I never had any kind of business management sense. I never had, you know, any kind of proper, you know, money placement or money management or, you know, escrow accounts or anything like that. Nothing was ever taught to me. And not only that, but I didn't have anything to work with when I turned, you know, I got emancipated at 14, 15 years old. And by 15, I was legally on my own. And it's not like I was ever given a manual, like a how-to book, like this is what you do when your, you know, life gets taken away from you. No.
Right.
It's like, you know, you're 15, you're on your own, and good luck, kid, you know, basically was it. And I made a ton of mistakes. You know, everybody makes mistakes growing up. That's what growing up is for. That's what growing up is all about, is learning from your mistakes. That's what life is all about. So I made the same mistakes as anybody else. The only difference is, for each of those mistakes, I was put on blast, and it was, you know, basically made to look like I was a complete jerk or I was a complete idiot because I did the same stuff that normal kids do, you know. But if you're in the entertainment business, you're not allowed to mess up. You're not allowed to make mistakes. It's not even an option.
Now, what do you think of, like, people like all these stars like your Lindsay Lohans, your Justin Biebers, or whoever's having, you know, these public meltdowns like this, or when Britney had hers a few years back?
Isn't Lindsay like the same age as me now?
Yeah, right.
I don't think she qualifies as a kid star anymore. I don't know. That's me. But, anyway, yeah, the Justin Biebers of the world, right? I mean, what do I think? I think it's the same all around. I mean, I hope and pray that each of these kids has a solid foundation. Because if you have a solid foundation, you can make it through anything. I'll give you a good example. Ricky Schroder. You remember Ricky Schroder?
Sure.
Okay, so Ricky Schroder, you know, he had a great family. His family loved him. You know what I mean? It was a normal family environment. The parents did well by him. They went out and they invested into Taco Bell. I think the kid had like 6 Taco Bells by the time he was like 16 or something. You know, I mean, he was set up for life. So, you know, it can go the right way, too, if your parents are responsible about it. But here's the thing. There needs to be certain guidelines put into the structure, like you're talking about. There should be a vocational educational seminar of sorts. There should be a training course for what the kids need to do. And there should also be an out. You know, there should be a way that, like, I'll give you a really good example of this, okay? We all have, you know, some sort of pension plan in our careers, right? We all have the ability to work for 25 years and then retire. And in our retirement, we get handed a certain balloon payment, or we get, you know, handed payments that are going to last the rest of our life or whatever, so that, you know, when you get, whether it's 55, 60, or 65, you get to now kind of enjoy the rest of your life without having to be part of the workforce. That's a beautiful thing, right? Okay, so now let's reverse that, and let's put that into children's actors. These kids start at 3, 4, 5 years old. So by the time they're turning 21, they've already worked 18, 20 years. By the time they're 30, they've already worked 25 years, 27 years, you know? So shouldn't that mean that they have the ability to stop? Like, hey, I've done my full life's work. I started the game a little earlier than everybody else, true, but I should have the right to be able to take that time now, you know, because I want to enjoy the rest of my life. That does not exist. It does not exist. So the bottom line is you could finish an entire career after 25 years of working where anybody else, any normal person, would be able to walk away and enjoy the rest of their life with their families. And these guys are just getting started because now they got to start a whole new career and do it for another 25 years.
Have you ever thought about becoming like a counselor or something like that for these kids coming up in Hollywood?
I'll tell you what, if I can't get work anymore, I'll be sure to open an office. No. No, I mean, I don't have time for that sort of thing. You know, I'm a pretty busy guy. But I'm always here to help. You know what I mean? Like, I always am here to voice my opinion wherever I can, and of course, you know, be an ear. And if, you know, if people have real problems or they need to get in touch with me, I have a pretty solid connection with my fan base, as opposed to a lot of artists out there. I like to think that I keep my fingers very much on the pulse of what's happening in society and what's happening within my own community, as far as the fan community goes. So, you know, look, if people have questions, you know, they tweet me all the time, as I'm sure you see because you guys follow me on Twitter.
Right.
You know, I mean, I'm very vocal and very attainable. I'm not like one of those guys that you can't reach me. I'm, you know, impossible to actually ever talk to or nail down or whatever. And you'd be amazed how many, like, Dear Abby letters and stuff like that I get. You know, Corey, what do I do about this? What do I do about that? And I have no problem, you know, ever trying to help out whenever I can, as long as, you know, somebody's looking for a positive solution, I will be there to help. But, you know, the thing is, there's a lot of negativity in the world right now. And, you know, we're in very dark times, and people are grasping at straws. And at the end of the day, I believe, you know, and the only thing that's kept me living, the only thing that's kept me going, and certainly kept me in this industry able to deal with the ups and downs and all the rejection and all the negative press and all that crap that's thrown at me all the time, and especially these days with the bloggers and all that, the only thing that keeps me going is that direct communication with the fans and my power of believing in positive energy. You know, I'm a spiritual guy. I pray every day. And I just have to believe that in the end, all things will work out the way that they're supposed to, as long as you just stay positive.
That's pretty inspiring.
Thanks. I mean, you know, I say it because that's my life. That's what I do. Otherwise, I would have been down and out like, you know, most of the other people that you could probably put alongside my name. And, you know, fortunately, I've managed to survive yet again. Doesn't mean I'll be here next year, but I'm here today.
Well, I hope you're here next year, and I'm sure everybody else hopes you're here next year.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Except for those people that go on, YouTube and say, "I wish he would just die." Oh, which, you know, there's been those too. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. It seems like, I mean, I'm a big Howard Stern fan. I've heard you on Stern many times, and you hear Howard bitch about that like all the time. Like, he'll put something up on Twitter, and it's just like all these people are just full of hate and just want to like do nothing but.
Oh, well, look who's talking. He's like the hate monger of all time. All he's ever done his entire career is stir up hate and negativity, and he wonders why people want to come back at him with the same thing. Let me think about that one for a while. We're making fun of retards. We're making fun of women. We're making fun. Come on,
you don't like Howard no more?
I cut him off many years ago, to be honest with you.
Really?
I can't have that kind of negative energy in my life. That's the thing is, you know, if you're going to fight for what's right and you're going to fight for what's good, then you cannot surround yourself with people that are going to bring you down. And I think now, you know, Howard's probably getting a taste of his own medicine, you know, which is that the truth hurts. When you start spreading negativity, you're going to get negative energy back. If you spread positivity, then that's what you're going to get back for the most part. But, you know, it's always a fight, and you got to find that balance.
Well, there you go. How about your movie careers? The one thing all I was waiting to talk to you about last week was one of my favorite movies back in the early 90s. Whenever it was on cable, I used to sit and watch this constantly. Dream a Little Dream.
Thank you. Well, that's always been one of my favorites, and still one of my favorites today, so I'm glad that you like it.
Which one of your classic movies is one of your favorites?
Well, that certainly is. Dream a Little Dream is definitely in my top 5, and probably always will be. Just because, you know, for me at that time, it was a very big deal. It was the first time that I kind of really broke out on my own. It was my first lead role where I wasn't part of an ensemble cast. And, you know, I got to sing and dance, and my first single came from that record, from that movie. So, you know, it was very pivotal in my career as kind of the defining moment of you know, he's either going to get swept under the carpet or he's going to take charge, and that was kind of the moment where I took charge. So I'm very proud of the work that I did in that. And, you know, the really crazy thing about that movie is if you look back on it, and this hit me a couple of years ago, is that, like, everybody's dead from that movie. Like, it's crazy. Like, Jason Robards, gone. Piper Laurie, gone. Corey Haim, gone. The director, Mark Rocco, is gone. I mean, it's just like, wow. You know?
Sad.
I think I would still have Meredith Salinger and Harry Dean Stanton. I mean, who would have known it? But Harry Dean Stanton, who we didn't think was going to make it to the next week when we were filming, is still alive. So there you go.
Now, the whole thing with Corey Haim, I mean, that's sad. I mean, I didn't realize, like, when I was going through, I ended up reading his Wikipedia as I was reading yours and stuff last week, and I got so sad and depressed reading it. His, not yours. I mean, it just seemed like such a lonely life that he led, and he
led a very lonely life. Very lonely life, yeah. And, you know, I understand it because I've been there. You know, I can't say that I'm there right now or I'm there all the time, but I get those moments where I go to that dark place. And, you know, he lived in it. He lived in that dark place. And unfortunately that, you know, the big message that everybody needs to know is that it wasn't because he was a bad guy. He was not a bad guy. He was a beautiful human being, and he had a great heart and a great spirit, and he was an amazingly talented actor. But unfortunately, it was the things that were done to him as a child in his career, you know, the abuse that he endured was so profound and so earth-shattering in his world that he was never able to recover from it. And that is all directly related to the fact that he's in this business. So, you know, I'm not saying every kid's going to have that experience, because obviously there's plenty of kids who go through unscathed and have a great experience. But for him, that was the case. And, you know, again, that's all going to be in the book, because people need to know, people need to identify with the fact that, you know, the Hollywood machine decides, for whatever reason, that, you know, we're done with you. We're done with you. We don't want you to be the big star anymore. We want this person to be the big star now. And so they literally, you know, they control the media, and then they slant the media so that, you know, when journalists write, they put a negative skewer on things, and they just kind of start changing the opinion of your fans, or the public. Now, the real fans, who are truthfully there for you because they feel you and they're part of, you know, their heart is with you, their opinion is never going to change. They know you and they're behind you. Right. But for all the casual fans, the people who are just, you know, hey, I like that movie, I like the kid in the movie, whatever, and then you hear some terrible trash-talking story about them, and you're like, oh, man, that kid's a loser. I'm not going to support him anymore. And they're done. That's it. And that happens by the millions, because when the Hollywood machine wants to put it out there on loudspeakers, they can, because they've got the money to do it, and they've got the press to do it. So the point is that this kid was lambasted. He was literally just broken down, you know, over and over and over, to the point where, I mean, not to say he didn't make his mistakes. He made definitely his share of mistakes. He definitely screwed over a lot of people in the business, you know, and there was a lot of valid reason for people to not want to work with him anymore. But it all stems back to the fact that if he hadn't had the damage and the abuse that he had, he wouldn't be that person. He wouldn't be causing problems on the set. He wouldn't be irresponsible, all those things. So it all came, you know, as a result of the fact that he had the history that he had. So people need to understand the story. They need to understand what he went through, and they need to understand why he ended up the way that he did. And then maybe people like the Academy, who completely ignored his death when he died and did not even mention him in the memorial, and that happened both at the Directors Guild Awards and at the Screen Actors Guild Awards. And you go, really? This guy made, his films earned over $1 billion for the entertainment industry. And you're going to go and thank a publicist? You're going to go and, you know, remember an agent? But you're not going to remember the guy who actually people went and paid the money to go see?
Wow.
That doesn't make sense to me.
No. Yeah, I felt that was a disgrace. Because
it is a disgrace. It's a complete
like you
disgrace.
said, if you're a fan, you're a fan. That is one of my pet peeves. If you don't like somebody, that's fine. But if you're a fan of somebody, just because something goes wrong, it seems like, especially in the media, they want to jump right on it and we hate this person. Yeah, but you liked that person last week. Has that person changed? Right. No. If somebody, everyone is human. If you
that's
fall,
right.
I can't get. I never had a problem with Corey Haim because, I enjoyed his movies. I enjoyed, I'd never seen him do him. He never did anything that was out there that some of these other people have done. But yet, like you said, they wanted to just jump on it, and that's what it seems like people want to do it, and you can't do that. The Academy should have recognized him. If you're going to recognize and give awards to someone like Roman Polanski, who's hiding in another country, avoiding criminal charges, that to me makes absolutely no sense. And I agree with you 100%. That was a disgrace.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that support and recognition for Corey, and by all means, he should have it. And, at the end of the day, I get treated the same way, but I'm not going to go out there and toot my own horn. I'm not going to go out there and fight for my own justice because, you know what, at the end of the day, I believe in God, and I believe that things will work out the way they're supposed to. So instead, I'm going to voice my opinion for those who do not have their own voice. And Corey is certainly somebody that, his voice got lost, in the shuffle years ago. And, and then after his death, it was just like, hey, let's all have a heyday now. Let's desecrate his remembrance and his legacy to, nothing more than, the punchline of a joke. And God, Corey Haim was no punchline. He was no joke. He was a very, very talented young man. And, Hollywood was lucky to have him.
What do you think, he seemed to be, turning the corner and starting to come back and doing the comeback with you, with the show, and then I saw you guys had the breakdown with the show, and what do you think, forced him to, did you think it was just the power of the drugs, the depression, a mixture of both?
You mean that ultimately led to his death?
Yeah.
Well, he, as opposed to the media circus and what they would have you believe, he did not die of a drug overdose. So let's be very clear on that. When the autopsy report came back, there was no overwhelming amount of toxicity in his system which caused death.
It was a heart condition, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah,
he had an enlarged heart, which, he had complained about a heart murmur since the day I met him, before he ever did any drugs. That was just, part of his chemical makeup. He had a heart murmur. It was a preconditioned thing. But that said, he also, obviously, did plenty of damage to himself. There's no mistaking what he did. He did what he did. And, he'd be the first to admit it. But that said, by the time of his death, he was very solemnly dedicated to the idea of, look, his mom had cancer. He was a mama's boy. He loved his mom, and he would do anything for her. And at the end of the day, he made a very resolved decision that he was going to put his own personal issues aside for the first time in his life, and he was going to be there for his mom. And, he moved her into his apartment. She lived with him in the apartment, and he took her to chemotherapy every day. He, went out and created kind of a spa-like environment, so it was nice and healthy and peaceful. And, he went out and bought her candles, and he'd give her baths, and he'd cook her dinner. And, he did all that stuff for his mom. So that was his final days. And when he died, we were closer than ever. We were literally, a lot of people think, well, after the show they didn't talk. That's not true. After the show, I, kind of put my foot down, and I said, I'm taking a year off. I don't want to talk to you for a year, and I don't want to do anything more professional with you because I don't want to I don't want to, make it easy for you, having all this money and, going out there and doing what you normally do. I want to make it harder for you in the sense that I want you to finally get it together and then come back clean and sober and strong and, let's work, let's rock,
Right.
But unfortunately, he was not. He couldn't get it together at that moment. But then, during that year, is when his mom was diagnosed with cancer, and he called me up one day and he said, "Cor, I know we've got our problems, we've got our differences on a professional level, but on a personal level, we're best friends, and I need my best friend right now. And I know that, you just lost Michael Jackson. I know you just lost your grandfather." And I was just about to go through my divorce, and he told me about his mom, and I agreed with him. I was like, you know what, you're right. We need to put all the personal stuff aside, and let's make it about this right now. And
wow.
And we did. We healed. And he healed. He healed during that time. And so when he contacted me and I came over and I saw him and his mom was, not doing well. She was sickly, and I was helping take her to the chemotherapy appointments and all that kind of stuff. He was a different guy, and he was very focused on just trying to do the right thing. Now, that's not to say, he wasn't taking any medications, but he certainly wasn't doing any hard drugs. He certainly wasn't doing anything that wasn't prescribed to him. And, the prescription medication he was doing, although it may have been in great abundance, it was still not anything that was, justifiably something that would put him into a seizure. So, therefore, it was literally just, I think it was the depression. And, as his mom has said to me many times, he just didn't have the fight left in him. He was just so heartbroken by the way the world was treating him that he just didn't have the strength to keep going. And, God, I understand that because, you know what? There's been many, many times where I feel like I'm that close. I feel like I'm, right there on that brink. Like, man, can I face another day after the things that I've seen, written about me? Can I go and face the public again? After, having doors slammed in your face and rejection and, all the things that you have to deal with. And you have to, people don't understand until they're there. The one thing that the public seems to forget, and the media certainly forgets, is that we are human beings. Like, the way that people talked about me, the Ascension Millennium video, which has gotten, incredible, ratings and been reviewed, and just, the fans have gone nuts for this thing. Literally, 250,000 views on YouTube in 2 weeks. 150,000 views in the first week on MTV in the U.S. alone. I mean, just, great, astounding numbers, which show me that, people have enjoyed it. Whether they love it or they hate it, they enjoyed it. But some of the blogs and some of the comments and the way that the media spins it, again, there's one article that's written as a review, and that's a, snippy little snide comment, the worst video ever made or something like that. And then that's syndicated to 250 different columns. So it's not like there's 250 writers out there thinking the same thing. It's one guy with one opinion, and he plasters that to every major blog, every major website, every major newscast, so that's the feed that's coming across the news feed. That's what they're reading. They're just reading, hey, this is what it says, worst video ever, whatever. And so that's what the public gets to hear. And it's wait a minute. I've got fans who are telling me it's the most incredible thing they've ever seen. They love it. They've watched it 500 times. They've downloaded the song. The song's selling like hotcakes. Who do you believe? Do you believe the people that are telling you it's the worst thing ever, or do you believe the people that are telling you it's the best thing ever? And therefore you have to kind of stop and go, okay, I do my art for me because I enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, you have the right to not listen to it. But for you to sit there and lambaste me on my own webpage and sit there and say, you should just die, you're an embarrassment, you're a joke, why are you even still alive? I mean, you wouldn't believe the things that people have said to me on this. And I'm just sitting there with my jaw on the floor, and, you don't think that hurts? You don't think that, I sit there and, go, oh, my God, how could they say such things? How could one human being say that to another human being, no matter what they do? I don't care if they're, if they're in sports and they're getting paid $20 million a year and they suck at every game. Guess what? They're still out there trying every game. You know what I mean? They're still a human being, and they're still doing their damn best. And you know what? Sometimes it just doesn't go your way. but that does not make you a criminal. They're talking about me like I'm a child molester myself. They're talking about me like I murdered kids or something. All I did was make a video that you may not agree with, and you have the right to not agree with it.
Well,
but
I'll
don't
tell you
do
what.
that.
That's how this whole thing happened. Like, I go on a website, and I'll plug it. We had the guy that runs it on a few months back, Metal Sludge. And on their message board, somebody had posted on there, this is probably the greatest thing Corey Feldman's ever done. So I go on there, and it was the Ascension Millennium video. And I'm like, all right. So I click it, and I'm like, this is a pretty cool song. Like, I'm digging this. And then watching the video, and I just got hooked. And then I was like, you know what? I wonder if I can get hold of him. Next thing you know, I'm tweeting you, and you're like, yeah, let's hook it up. And you put me in touch with Stacy. And I'll tell you what, dude, seriously, this is the best thing I think I've ever done musically that I've heard, that I've really enjoyed. And me and Frank, my co-host, we just keep ranting and raving. Like, the video is just great. I mean, it's a classic old-school style video. Now, is this a true day in the life of Corey Feldman?
It can be. It can be. And I think maybe that's part of what pisses everybody off so much, is to know that, you know, despite everything I've been through, I'm still having this much fun, you know, and I am. My life is great. I enjoy my life. It's a beautiful thing, but it doesn't mean that I don't pay for it. It doesn't mean that I don't work my balls off to make it that good. You know what I mean? I take a lot of crap to make it that good. And I, you know, spend my, you know, I've got days where I'm destitute and I don't know where the next, you know, meal's coming from. I don't know where the next, you know, paycheck's coming from. I'm just like everybody else out there. You know, you have your high points and you have your low points. And at the end of the day, yeah, you know, I do have a beautiful girlfriend that, you know, the girl that's in the video is my actual girlfriend, and that's real. And, you know, the other girl is one of my angels, and that's real. And Sean comes over, and that's real. And, you know, I have a party at my house called Corey's Angels, and, you know, sometimes we convert the house into a nightclub, so you may come downstairs and actually see exactly that. So there is no, you know, faking it. The reason why I thought up this video is I thought, you know, I'm so grateful for my life, but most people would never believe that I actually live like this. So therefore, I want to create a video showing what a normal day of my life is like in 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
Well, do you want us to play the song for everybody?
Please do, yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, we're going to play the song now. We're going to play the Ascension Millennium. We're going to let the world know what this song is about, and then we're going to come back and talk some more. How does that sound? Okay.
Well, the song is not necessarily about what the video is about, right? The video is about just feeling good and having a great time. The song goes a little bit deeper. So if you want me to explain, I can. But that's
explain it. Talk it up.
Okay. Well, basically, the idea, the concept behind the song, number one, you know, this new thing that I've created, which is Corey's Angels, which we are, you know, we have a website, we throw events, and it's kind of like we're building this kind of private social club, okay? And within that, what we're doing is we're finding beautiful girls who have got, you know, talent, various talents, whether they're actresses, whether they're singers, dancers. You know, Courtney, my girlfriend, she's a DJ. You know, so depending on what it is, that is their talent, we are going to try and hone in on that talent. We're going to try and focus in on it, and we're going to create a profile for them on our new website. So the whole idea is to find girls that have got talent, that are beautiful, that might be taking the wrong path in life, and like, here's a way for you to divert that path and do something that's positive for you. And the way that I'm doing that is by creating this production entity where it's completely self-sufficient. Because I am, you know, a producer and a writer with music, because I do produce my own films, I direct my own films, you know, all of this stuff, it's like, well, you know, I have access to everything, and I can help these girls with their careers. And that's really what it's about. It's about finding girls that are talented, that might be overlooked, that might be cheapened by, you know, being made to just be a nude model or, you know, whatever. And, like, instead, let's, like, make you a star. Let's make you a talent. Let's put you out there to the world. So that's what it's about. And so there's 3 songs on the new album, which is coming out in October alongside the book. The album is entitled Angelic to the Core. And there's 3 songs which kind of marry the angel theme. So, you know, it's based around the whole angel idea, the angel theme. And the song Ascension is really about letting your spirit be free and moving to the next level of spirituality, of positive energy. Whatever your religious beliefs, that's fine. But, there's been people out there who are the naysayers who try to say that it's some kind of, satanic thing, or, there's others who say it's a religious cult. And it's none of that. I'm not an occultist, and I certainly don't believe in anything provoking the dark side. For me, it's all about love and light and spirituality. So the song Ascension is like, look, we know that we're in dark times. We know that there's a lot of negativity in the world right now. And the song and the video are the perfect example of it. We need to rise above it. We need to take it to the next level. We need to stay positive. We need to stay focused. And if we all join together and express some love instead of some hate, maybe we can live to see the next era.
Sounds good to me.
That's it. Very simple.
All right, are you ready? Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Corey Feldman's Ascension Millennium. Here it is.
Ascension.
There it is, The Ascension Millennium by the one and only Corey Feldman. Now, you got to admit, there's a lot of Michael Jackson influence in that song.
Well, I guess you could see it that way. I mean, I'll put it this way. Michael, of course, was a very close friend of mine for many, many years, about 18 years to be exact. And, of course, the reason for that friendship was the fact that I was always a huge fan. So I met him via the fact that I was a fan of his work. And the fact that we became so close didn't make me less of a fan, but more of a fan. And he certainly gave me some very strong pointers, shall we say, through the early years of my music career as to, writing and singing and performing and dancing and dealing with fans and all of it. So he was like a big brother in many ways to me. So, yes, there is definitely going to always be that influence in my solo music. However, my band music, which is completely different sounding, I would say there's very little Michael Jackson influence. But certainly when it comes to pop and R&B and, anything in that vein, you can't help but, have those references.
Now, your band, Truth Movement, isn't that more like a rock and roll style band?
Yeah, it's like classic rock. And, in many ways it's like a sister band to Pink Floyd, which I know sounds mighty presumptuous to say about one of the greatest bands in rock and roll history. But that said, in all essence, it is. Storm Thurgeson, the late, great Storm Thurgeson, who designed every classic Pink Floyd album cover through history, actually designed our last album cover. And I do believe that may have been his last complete original work. So that's a big part of the legacy right there. As a matter of fact, there's a movie coming out which Storm directed later this year, which is a complete biography of the history of Syd Barrett and the beginning of Pink Floyd, and I'm actually in the film. So
cool.
That's pretty big. And then John Caron, who has been with Pink Floyd for 25 years, well now probably about 27 years, including The Wall. I mean, he's on the Wall tour right now with Roger Waters. And, anytime Pink Floyd plays, anytime David Gilmour plays, anytime Roger Waters plays, he's there. And he co-wrote and co-produced 7 of the songs on the album. And then Scott Page, who was Pink Floyd's sax player from 86 to 90, is also on the album. And he's actually even on the new solo work. As a matter of fact, on Ascension Millennium, he plays the lead guitar solo in that. So, I got to say I'm very honored to even be in that vein.
So why the different musical direction on that song?
Well, it's all about the new album, actually, because, I've always wanted to make sure that there was a clear definition between what my band is and what my solo work is. With the band, it's there to really, emulate and pay tribute to the rock and roll influences of my childhood. Much like Lenny Kravitz does with his work. I mean, when you listen to Lenny Kravitz, you certainly hear the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix and, Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and all of that in his work. And I think that's kind of what my focus was with Truth Movement, was I wanted to do something that really emulated that sound, but also created a new sound for the new times, but also kind of fused those two worlds together. Whereas this, solo work, and this is my 3rd solo album that's coming out, has always been about, top 40, pop, whatever's going on in the music scene contemporarily. So it's certainly not trying to emulate anything from old school and really kind of just be with the times and, create music that everybody can dance to and listen to.
Now, what makes you happier, creating music or acting?
I enjoy both. People have always said to me, well, if you had to choose, and the bottom line is you don't have to choose. There will be plenty of, naysayers out there who will tell you, your music sucks, you should stick to acting. Or there'll be people who say, you're a much better singer and dancer than you are an actor. Or maybe they'll say all of it sucks. I don't know. But, again, you can't really listen to them, because if you do, you'll drive yourself crazy. Instead, you just got to do it for you and for the people who actually enjoy it. So that's what I do.
Now, you, like you said, you were very close with Michael Jackson. What do you think about all the trouble surrounding his whole estate and his children and everything like that? Are you in touch with his children at all? Or?
No, I've never met the children. I don't really want to weigh in on any of that stuff because that's kind of out of my field, really. Michael and I were friends for many years. The friendship ended in 2001, the weekend of September 11th. And since that time, I have remained very close with many members of the family. I still consider them to be part of my family. As a matter of fact, if you go back on Twitter, you'll see there was a tweet from LaToya Jackson, who, was in support of my new single and said she thought it was great. So, we're still close. There's still a lot of connection, but not Michael's kids because, as you know, Michael always wanted to keep the kids sheltered as much as he could from the public, from the, the PR and from all of that. And although I did see them around the house at different times, or like when I was in New York with them, I saw the kids there, or, on the day of his unfortunate funeral, I was at the Havenhurst property and the kids were there. But I'm not going to just go up to some kids and introduce myself. I just didn't feel it was appropriate. So although I have seen them around, I haven't actually made an introduction. And I guess, if the time comes and it's supposed to go that way, then we'll meet. But if not, then I'm okay with that too.
All right, I have one of the guys on our staff. He's our TV movie guy. He just keeps blowing up my instant messenger that I have to mention this movie to you. Blown Away with Nicole Eggert.
What about it?
He just keeps going. That's all he keeps saying is blown away, Nicole Eggert. That's all he keeps saying.
You know what? It was a great movie. I'm very proud of that movie. But it was definitely racy. Going back to Sign of the Times, I don't think they'd even get away with a movie like that these days. A bunch of young adult stars, doing sexy stuff. And it was basically like the Basic Instinct for the younger generation. That's the way I kind of always saw it. And, when it premiered on HBO, it was like the highest rated, movie premiere ever. And, it did very well theatrically outside of the U.S. And we were all very pleased. And I really liked my performance in it. And, you're hitting the hit list, I would say. Out of my top 5 favorite performances of my career, I would say The Birthday has become number 1, which is a very few and far between, seldomly seen film of mine. But if you have the chance, if there's a way that you can attain it, I strongly suggest you going out and trying to find it because it's a great little movie. You can find it, by the way, on Amazon.ne out of Holland or Germany, I believe. But you have to have a code-free region player to actually watch it, so that's a tough one. Aside from that, let's see, Dream a Little Dream, Lost Boys, and Blown Away, and I don't know if I had to pick a 5th, maybe Stand By Me, would probably be my top 5 favorite performance pieces.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, you look back, we were talking about your movies earlier, and I'll tell you, man, you have been in more iconic movies, and people just don't realize, it's like, you look back, like you said, Dream a Little Dream, The Lost Boys, the Goonies, the Gremlins. I mean, it's great because, these are movies that we enjoyed.
Let's not forget Ninja Turtles now.
Now, were you actually? Now, did you just do the voice, or did you actually? Were you in that movie? Were you one of the turtle costumes?
No, I wasn't in that suit.
Okay.
they couldn't afford to pay me enough to sit in that suit all day. But
I was about to say you had some real skills in the karate department.
No, actually, I did do karate in a movie called. Hold on, give me a minute. Dangerous Place. It was around 1993, ladies and gentlemen. I did a movie called The Dangerous Place where I played a high school student who was kind of like the bad kid. It was like a bad Karate Kid ripoff. It wasn't bad. It was actually a good little movie, but it was a Karate Kid ripoff. And, yeah, so there you go. I have learned karate for the purposes of my art. But that said, was not in the Ninja Turtle costume. I was not in the second film either, just to clear this up. I was in the first film and I was in the third film, but I decided to bow out for the Vanilla Ice chapter. Not to say there's anything wrong with Rob. I mean, I know he's a nice guy and stuff, but I just, I wasn't feeling it. And then, and I'm excited to to all the Ninja Turtles fans out there, as some of you may know, there's a new film and a new TV show in the works, and the TV series, which is a, very blown-up CGI, billion-dollar, ridiculously large show for animation, which is I think the biggest budgeted CGI animated series ever in history, which is now on Nickelodeon. And they just ran their first season, and one of the stars of that is in my video for Ascension Millennium, the great Sean Astin, and he works alongside Greg Seitz, who did a show with me also called Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go for Disney a couple years ago, and that show was actually created by a guy named Ciro Neely, who is actually the executive producer of the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show. Henceforth, I have returned to the Turtles, and I am now a brand new turtle, which has been created for the show. It was actually originated in the original comic book, and then I guess they maybe used it in one or two episodes of the original cartoon series, and they are now bringing it back for the first time in any sort of, live animation type thing, where I am a character called Slash. And Slash starts off as Raphael's pet turtle. Raphael is played by Sean Astin. So it's a chance for Sean and I to work together, and a chance for me to revisit the old turtle world.
Do you ever just call Sean Astin Rudy? I mean, every time I see him, I just want to start chanting Rudy.
No, because to me he'll always be Mikey. We're Goonie brothers for life, so nothing can take that away.
You know
but
what?
He's a very, very talented young man. Oh, so talented and such a great guy. Such a superhuman being.
He's played a lot of great parts. He's another one that, you can't help but like his work. But it must make you feel really good, too, that, a movie like The Goonies, people are still introducing it to their kids, and Mouth is one of the most popular characters. I mean, I still to this day always crack up at the scene where Monfatelli is hitting you in the back of the head and you're kept just spitting out the jewels.
Well, it reminds me actually of a conversation I had with Michael maybe about 10 years ago, right before we had our falling out. But he was saying, we were on the phone, and he was like, yeah, I'm watching The Goonies right now. I'm showing it to my kids. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, can't you find, a new movie or something to show them? Michael, I'm sure you can afford, a new movie. And he was like, no, but it's so amazing to sit here with them and watch their reactions as they're experiencing it for the first time. And I was like, whoa, that kind of really put me back. Okay, that's cool. We're actually crossing generations here. I like it. So that coupled with, now one of the great experiences about doing what I do, which is, live music, is that when I go out on tour, obviously it's not just the music fans that show up. When we sell out a crowd and you look out to the crowd, the biggest show that we've ever done to date, we did, two really big shows on the last tour with Truth Movement. One, which was for the Goonies' 25th anniversary, and Sean came out for that, as well as Richard Donner, the director of the film, Joe Pantoliano, I believe Jeff Cohen was there as well. So it was a nice little group of us that came out for it, and it was all to celebrate the 25th anniversary as well as, being in Astoria. And then the very next weekend, I went and did the same thing in Santa Cruz for Lost Boys, and we did it as a one-year memorial of Corey's death. And then, the first time that I had been back to Santa Cruz, and certainly the first time that my band had played Santa Cruz in the 25 years since the film was shot. And when I walked out on that stage, there was 15,000 people in the audience. 15,000 people. I mean, that was just whoa, okay, a little overwhelming. But loved it. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, right?
But anyway, so when I looked out at that audience, what I saw little tiny babies. I mean, we're talking 1 and 2 years old, running around on the beach with their parents, and they're on beach blankets, and they've got Goonies shirts on. And then you look at their parents who are in their, late teens, early 20s. And then you look that they're there with their parents who are in their 40s and 50s. And they're there with their parents. So you literally look out at this audience, and you've got everything from, 70-year-old grandparents to, 2-year-old babies. and they all get it. And you're just like, wow, okay, like I think I've been around for a minute. It's starting to actually take effect, you know. So it's a very cool feeling to know that you've touched so many generations. And, you know, my hope is that I'm here for a lot longer and I get to touch a lot more people.
Well, that's our hope too, because like I said, you know, it's great that when you have a movie that just stretches over, and you don't just have one though, you have several. I mean, you got.
Well, I'm lucky. We'll put it that way.
You made some great career choices. I will say that when it came to your movies, because you're like one of them people out there that you say Corey Feldman, people can name 5 of your movies off the top of their head, you know, and that's not easy to do with a lot of actors today.
That is true. Unfortunately, a lot of those films aren't from today. So if I were to run off to you 10 of the movies I've done in the last 10 years, you probably wouldn't have heard of them. So that's the sad state of affairs that, you know, is the true nature of the disease of this industry. However, that said, I keep working. I keep chugging along. Some of them are hits, some of them aren't. Some of them are, you know, paid with tremendous respect. Some of them are dissed. But that's it. You know, that's life anyway, isn't it? You know, everything we do cannot turn to gold, and everything we do is not a success, and we will never be praised for every choice or everything that we do or every choice that we make. But that said, you do your best to take it in stride and not let them, you know, blow the wind out of you, because one day you're going to come back with that next project that really kills them. And, you know, I'm very, very grateful. I'm very grateful for what's happened with Ascension Millennium. You have to understand, for a guy who's done 5 albums altogether, and this is my 5th album coming out in October, and released, God, I don't know, probably 10 to 20 singles through the years, this is the first time anybody's actually cared. I mean, you know, the last album, the Truth Movement album, Technology Analogy, because I had so many great people on it, I did get some terrific reviews, starting with Pink Floyd's own website, which, you know, literally said that it was, you know, out of all the years that, you know, people have submitted music to them and said that they were trying to emulate or that they had the Pink Floyd sound or whatever, they said that ours was the first to actually capture it, which I was like, wow, that's an amazing compliment. So, I mean, we did have some great stride and some great successes in a small way with that album. And, you know, it was a very thought-provoking album, and we had some really great support, especially in England, of people who were saying this is a very powerful album, it's a very important album, there's a lot of really good information on here, and we should really listen to it. So it was the first time anybody really took anything I did seriously. But Ascension is the first time that I've really crossed over to the mainstream and had people, like, downloading my song every day and like playing it for their friends and playing it at dance clubs, and like they're really getting into it. And I'm really hoping that this is the turning point for me, and you know, I hope the support continues, and I think that I've got actually way stronger singles on the way. So cool. I'm happy to say that Ascension is not the strongest, you know, thing in the stockade, and it is not the only hit on the album. I've got some amazing duets. I'm working with some incredible people on this album as well. I've got a song I'm working on, or a couple songs I'm working on with Fred Durst, nice. Kaya Jones from the Pussycat Dolls, and I did a duet, and that's amazing. Ascension was co-written with Rick One from Black Eyed Peas, and he's a DJ and producer for Black Eyed Peas, and him and I co-wrote 3 or 4 songs. Thomas Van Muster, who also works with Black Eyed Peas and co-wrote the song Where Is the Love for Justin Timberlake and Black Eyed Peas, co-wrote a couple of the songs on the album, including the title track. We have Supreme from Wu-Tang on the album. So it's very diverse. And as I said before, Scotty Page, my main engineer, Greg Sarantino, who's an amazingly talented multi-instrumentalist and works with everybody from like Snoop Dogg to, you know, Wyclef, I mean, just everybody. So there is some really, really great, powerful artists on this album. It's not all about me, although people should know that, like, on the single Ascension Millennium, I play every single instrument that you hear except for the guitar solo and the bass solo in the middle section there. But literally all the synthesizer parts, the beat itself, the bass line, it's all me. So, you know, I like to collaborate, but this is a solo album, and I think because I've been doing it all in my home studio, this is the first time that I'm actually able to say, this is me. Like, this is really, it's not about everybody else trying to make me sound good. This is me. And I'm very proud of it, and I'm very excited about it. And the other thing you should know is that, I'm not going to take anything lying down. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to stay positive. And I'm going to be celebrating my birthday in 2 weeks with a birthday party at my house, which we're opening up to public ticket sales.
Are we invited?
You're invited. It is a Corey's Angels party. And so what that means is that tickets are available right now. If you go to Corey'sAngels.com, which right now we have a temporary website up there, it's not the permanent site. It's going to eventually become a membership site, which is going to be more of like a social club where, you're buying the membership not just to be able to troll around the site, but that you can actually, come to the live experience. You can come be a part of it. And
now, are you doing this at your house?
Beautiful girls. Yeah.
You're going to open your house to the public?
I do every time we throw one of these events. Yep, absolutely.
Really? Do you ever have any wackos come there and start trouble?
Well, we do try to pre-screen a bit, but that said, we don't ever sell more than 100 tickets to guys. So no matter how many hot girls show up, there could be 300-400 girls, but we're never going to allow in more than 100 guys. And I don't care if you're a celebrity. I don't care who you are. No matter how big your entourage is, I will say the same thing. Like, say, Snoop Dogg wants to come to my party. Hey, I'd love to have you, and I'll comp you because you're Snoop Dogg. But if you're going to bring 10 guys, they all got to buy their tickets, and they've also got to, once we're out of tickets, we're out of tickets. I don't sell out. You know what I mean? I will not lower that for anybody because at the end of the day, it's about keeping it classy, and it's about keeping it special. And kind of elite. And the thing is if you go and you open the floodgates, then, your house is going to be destroyed. And, it's going to be a cavalcade of craziness. And I just really am not trying to call that upon myself. But, again, we keep the ticket prices high, and we sell very few of them so that people can actually come and have the experience that you see in the video.
So say you have your 100 tickets sold to 100 guys, and Suge Knight comes up to you and says, I want to buy a ticket. Are you going to sell him a ticket? Or are you going to give him a ticket? Or are you going to say, no, the men tickets are sold out?
That's exactly right. I would say I'm very sorry, but a little late in the game, and, come next time, we'd love to have you.
You have a set of iron ones, my friend. You have a set of iron ones.
Well, it's just basically you've got to have some kind of limitation. You got to set boundaries for yourself. You got to set boundaries. And for me, those boundaries are I cannot create an experience that's unique if I do what everybody else does and sell it to the highest bidder. You know what I mean? The only way to keep it unique and keep it, exhilarating and fun is by creating an experience that you can't get anywhere else. And I can guarantee you there's nobody else in this world that's going to say no to Suge Knight. Well, I guess there's a few guys because there's all these stories about how they were knocking him out or whatever. So I guess there's a few guys that said no to Suge Knight, but I'm not trying to go there. I'm not trying to do that. I want to treat everybody equally, and that's the thing. I'm going to treat any guest at my party with the same respect, whether they're a celebrity or not. And, hey, I know what it's like. Of course, I'm going to comp any celebrity. If it's a celebrity, and I'm not talking some reality show star who's never done anything, but I mean a true celebrity, an actor, a singer, a performer, a producer, a director, whatever. I'm going to treat them with the utmost respect, and I will comp them. But I set aside 50 tickets for comps, and those are for celebrities and for whatever. And once those are gone, they're gone. And then I sell 50 tickets. And once those are gone, they're gone. And it's never more than 100 mail tickets, period.
That's awesome. Hey, will you take phone calls from our listeners? We have two people.
Sure, let's do it.
All right, let's do this. Hang on. Let's take this first one here. You're live on the air with Corey Feldman. Who's this?
Hello?
Hello. You're on.
Hey. Oh, hey, how you doing?
Hi.
Hi, Corey. Hey, man, love your movies, bro.
Thank you.
This is crazy because two of my favorite people are on your show today, Angela Everwood and Corey Feldman. This is insane. I can't believe both people on the radio show. Is Angela coming on soon?
She'll be on after Corey. Yep.
Oh man, I can't wait to hear. So Corey, I just wanted to know, do you play any instruments?
Yeah, I don't know if you heard that last bit where I was kind of rambling on about the album, but I didn't used to so much. I've kind of been learning through the years. I try to always kind of expand my knowledge of musicality. So on the last, several albums, maybe I'd play like a little tiny keyboard part here or there, but a lot of times I just kind of like write the part in my head. As I don't know how to read or write music, I can't actually do it legitimately, professionally. So instead I just kind of sing the notes to somebody. I was actually backstage at David Gilmour. David Gilmour is kind of the lead singer, lead guitarist for Pink Floyd, for those who don't know. I was backstage with David Gilmour at one of his shows, and he said, we were talking about my band Truth Movement, and he said, what's your music like? And I said, well, it's actually a bit like yours. And he says, well, is it good? And I said, yeah, it's good, but it's never going to be as good as yours. And he said, well, why not? And I said, well, because I don't know how to read or write music. And he said, well, either do I. And I went, whoa, that changed it all for me. That really kind of opened the doors to, like, you don't have to do it by the book. However you do it, as long as you're getting the ideas down, that's all that matters. So with that, I started playing more and more guitar live on stage when we tour. I started playing more and more synthesizers and stuff like that in the studio, to the point where we are now with my new album. I would say probably 75% of the music that you hear, I play myself.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Right. Thanks for calling, man.
To let you guys know, Mr. Feldman, please take a listen to Angela Everwood. Tonight, listen in. She's very, very talented. She's an up-and-coming country artist. Recorded her debut album in Nashville a few months back. It's really amazing stuff. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Nice.
Thank you so much. And I hope you enjoy it.
Thanks very much.
Man.
Thank you.
All right.
So that was obviously Angela Everwood's publicist you had on the line there.
Yeah, you think? Let's see. You're live on the air with Corey Feldman. Who's this?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, who's this?
All right, don't be shy now. This is your chance.
I know, your big chance. You're on with Corey Feldman.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. Hi, Corey.
Hi, who is this?
I'm Brianne.
Hi, Brianne. How's it going today?
It's Zelda.
Good.
Yes.
What's going on?
Not much. I was listening to you earlier about Corey's Angels, and the guys already know I do a blog with them. And I just wanted your advice about an up-and-coming, blogger. I want to get out there. I want to be getting noticed. Any advice you can give me?
Yeah, I could tell you that controversy sells. So, it's always good to dabble in the controversial topics, but just be mindful of what opinion you're posting. At the end of the day, I think that there's plenty of negativity and cynicism out there. So if you're trying to go for that angle, I would say you might want to second think it, because at the end of the day, we're already oversaturated with negativity. We're in a time that people have, really just kind of sold out to the mainstream, and everybody's worried about, trying to be the most snide, the most, witty and demeaning to others. And I think that it's really a short sale, because at the end of the day, you're only going to burn bridges, and you're only going to cut off your opportunities by doing so. Whereas if you try to find the positive spin on things, then first of all, you're going to find that you're probably going to be a lot more original than most of the people out there, because most of the people aren't looking for that angle. They're looking for the negative angle. And I think that if you can try and find the positive angle on your blogs, then you'll probably be ahead of the game. That's just my guess.
That is awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Cool. Thanks for calling in, Brianne.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
All right. Let's see. I think you're going to be impressed with this call, Corey.
Okay.
You're live on the air with Corey Feldman. Who's this?
Corey.
All right.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
This is him. All right, Corey. This is a good friend of mine, Chris Kelly. Chris, he's from the Philadelphia area. He used to be on a popular show back in the day, Dance Party USA, that boosted to super fame stardom Kelly Ripa. and he used to date Kelly Ripa back in the day before she became famous.
Nice.
On television. Well, first of all, what's up, Bay? What's up, Frank?
Hey, Chris, how you been?
Good. Corey, I'm a longtime fan, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And I'm also impressed that you're a Pink Floyd fan. It's like those guys have been with me my whole life, got me through everything. So that's awesome.
Me too. Them and the Beatles basically responsible for my my entire young adult life making sense. So thanks.
Yeah. They rock. I was talking to Bay earlier. I've nowhere had the amount of fame that you've had, but in our local area, as Bay said, I was kind of popular back in the day. I was blessed to be on a television show for about 4 years, about 2 of them. And over the years, people like Kelly or other friends who grew up with, like Jamie Kennedy or even Tina Fey, they all grew up in our neighborhood. They all went on to do like great things and are thriving right now. And a question I get asked a lot if I'm interviewed any time, they always say, "Are you jealous of where they got? Do you miss what you had?" And the obvious thing to me is no. It's just that I'm happy for them, and for me, I just don't give up, and that's the way I stay young inside. And it just inspires me. So I was wondering, I'm happy for them. Do you find yourself doing the same thing?
This is the way you got to view this, okay? So these are negative spins. They're called negative spins. That's a journalist, that's a media hound, somebody sitting there trying to find the negative because they would love nothing more than for you to rip Kelly Ripa, and then you're going to get a lot more publicity, you're going to get a lot more mileage because they'll put that quote everywhere. But nobody will ever take you seriously again. Nobody will ever have any faith in you as a human being or as an artist because as soon as they hear a negative out of you, then all they're going to think of you as is negatively. So I think that your head's in the right place. I think that you're on the right track, and don't let them suck you into that stuff because you'd be amazed how many, people say stupid things like, I bet, Corey was just doing whatever he could just to get his face on TV again, or, Corey just, threw his opinion out there so he could become, cool and have people talking about him, or whatever stupid things they say. And to be honest with you, this is one of the few press interviews that I've done this year because, first of all, I hate journalism because they take your words and they mince them and they cut them up and they change them around and they change the definition or the meaning behind what you're saying. Additionally, it's a many-wielded weapon, meaning there's many sides to the weapon. And they're always going to try and trick you into thinking that, like, hey, if you get in this game, this is going to benefit you. And at the end of the day, it's not true. Don't let them suck you into it because just stick to your guns, stay positive, do nothing but wish well upon others, and then you will reap the benefits of that. I really believe that.
I agree with that, bro. I really appreciate that. That's taking time, and I'm right with you, man. Send some positive thoughts back your way. Wishing you the best, man.
Absolutely, man. Stay strong. God bless.
Thanks, bye. See you, Frank.
Thanks, Chris. Did you want to take any more calls, Corey, or it's up to you?
Go for it. Yeah, I'm good. Go for it.
Cool. All right. Nick, you're live on the air with Corey Feldman.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. First I wanted to say, I think I saw you, it must have been 93. I'm thinking it was, I want to say it was at the, I don't know if you remember, it was Much Music's Electric Circus.
Yeah.
Dude, let me tell you, that was, so underrated as far as honesty goes. Like, compared to some of the pop and stuff that's on the radio now, I think I don't know, you got the short end of the stick on that one.
Thank you. Well, you know what? Let me say something else to that, and I appreciate your comment. Whether you're being cynical or whether you're being honest about that opinion, I appreciate it either way. But whether if it's honesty or not, that's all I'm saying. No, the only reason I say that is because I am a bit sensitive on that one, because obviously it's been quite lambasted, as the YouTube video header will claim to be my most embarrassing moment. Which, in fact, it was not in any way embarrassing. It was a single that I did in the early 90s. It was the exact sound, style, fashion, everything that was contemporary and happening in music at that time. So, yes, there's many things that we can look back at now and laugh and let's look at Tiffany, let's look at Deborah Gibson, let's look at, there's a million people that you could look back at their career and be like, what was that? But at the time, they were killing it. and they were making lots of money killing it. And, you know, they were the leaders in fashion, the leaders in, you know, art and all of that. So you can't sit there and turn around because something may not be happening or cool today and negate what it was at one time. So, yes, the people who found that video again in 2001 or whenever they posted it and went, ha, 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 look at this from 10 years ago. What a joke. What was he thinking? I got news for you guys. When I did that show, the girls were screaming, and they were loving it. So I'm sorry that maybe it didn't stand the test of time, but
everything, like it was excellent. Like I'm not even. This isn't sarcasm in any way. Like I think you're exactly right for the times, and I mean the way it started off with the dancing and everything. It was exactly what the audience was looking for, and they were loud and they were into it. I'm totally on board with it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem, man. And the question I had for you was, I don't know if this has ever been confirmed or if you've talked about it, but did you audition for the role of Dick Grayson in the Batman Forever film, and, like, how did that all come about?
You know, I saw that written somewhere recently. I don't remember who wrote it, but I remember seeing it. And, no, in fact, I did not. I was wanting very badly to audition, and so was Corey Haim, for that fact. We were both submitting stuff to Joel because obviously Joel Schumacher directed it, and we all thought, you know, hey, this is our in, you know, we got this, no problem. And he didn't look at either one of us. He did take Corey, I think, a little bit more seriously as a candidate because Corey really fit that look, you know, with the blue eyes and the pointy little nose, and, you know, I mean, he had that whole kind of boy wonder thing going for him. But, no, he didn't really take either one of us into consideration because he felt that, you know, well, whether he felt anything or it was, you know, the studio said, you know, we're not working with those guys anymore. You know, I don't know what really went on, but I do know that we were never given a shot.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome. Thanks for the questions, Nick. And thanks for the compliment. I appreciate it.
All right, we got one more call, Corey, and then we'll let you go for the night.
Okie dokie.
All right, you're live on Totally Driven Radio with Corey Feldman. Who's this?
Hello?
Hello?
Hey. This is Ryan.
Hey, Ryan, how you doing? You're on the phone with Corey Feldman.
Good, how you doing? Hey, Corey,
how you doing, man?
I'm a big fan.
Good.
I'm very excited to talk to you.
Thank you.
I love the interview so far, by the way. I'm an upcoming filmmaker and director, and I just wondered if you had any advice for upcoming filmmaker directors. I actually was in a band for a few years as well before I became a filmmaker. So
Right. I would say get out, run as fast as you can, run for your life. No, I'm just joking. I would say, you gotta believe in yourself. You gotta believe in your talent. You gotta believe in your ambition and your goals, and you gotta live your dream. Because at the end of the day, and this is an overall message not just about the film industry, but whatever your vocational choices are in life, or even the ones that you may be stuck with, the bottom line is we only have one life to live. And you never know. This life goes so fast. I've watched so many friends die at such an early age. I consider myself very young. I feel like a kid still. And I don't plan on trying to grow up anytime soon because the longer I can keep this youth and vitality, the longer I can enjoy the life that I have. And, there's a lot of hard times. There's a lot of desperation. There's a lot of negativity thrown at you. But at the end of the day, you could be gone tomorrow. You could be dead tomorrow. We just don't know. I could be dead today. 5 minutes from now, a truck could run me over. I don't know. So all I know is that I have this moment, and in this moment, I feel youthful, I feel alive, I feel beautiful, I feel amazing, and I have all this creative talent inside of me that I'm just like bubbling over with that I need to share, that I need to express. And
that was actually what happened with me as well.
Yeah,
my friend passed away a few years ago, and it motivated me to get out there and live my dream. So
that's it, exactly. And so don't let anything ever deter you from that. And you know what? You may get 1,000,000 doors slammed in your face, but it's going to be that 1,000,001. Just like I've released 5 albums, but finally all of a sudden there's a hit single, right? You never know. You just never know when that moment's going to take you. And that's why, kind of like Eminem says in that song, Lose Yourself, it's like we all get one shot. and don't blow it. And you know what? I had a shot before I was old enough to know that I was getting a shot. And
wow.
You know, that shot came and went and it was over with before I was like 18 years old. And then all of a sudden people were calling me washed up and a has-been and I was done with and I was over with and all this stuff. And it was like, wait a minute. Most kids are just getting out of school, starting their life, and you're telling me that I'm done? I haven't even started. So
Sure.
It was only through my own self-determination and my own belief and faith in God and, like, just staying strong and staying focused and staying positive that I've managed to overcome it. And, you know, that's what makes me one of the few guys that's in this business, that's in the career, that's still going. Because most of them just couldn't take the negativity. They just couldn't take it anymore. So they went away or they killed themselves or whatever happened, and it's tragic. But you know what? You're still here today. I'm still here today.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do what we can today. Let's take the opportunities as they come to us. Don't be afraid to take an opportunity when it presents itself because, like, well, if I do that, I might lose this. Or if I do that, you know, they're going to take this away from me. No, if it's something that's burning inside you and you feel it and you know it and you believe in it, then if you believe hard enough, I truly believe that it's a world of self-realization, self-visualization and self-realization. If you visualize yourself somewhere, you can realize yourself somewhere. You just have to believe in it strong enough that no matter what anybody says, it's not going to knock you down.
Thank you so much. It's great advice. And I've actually completed 2 films on my own already, horror films.
See?
So.
There you go. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're doing it.
I'd love to get you in one day.
Living the dream. Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
I used to be in a band called Crash Romeo. I don't know if you ever heard of us. We played the Warped Tour. We used to play with Newfound
I actually did
Glory
hear
a
of
few
you.
times.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, actually, I did a video with Newfound Glory, and I was actually on the Warped Tour, so maybe I might have actually performed right next to you. How about that?
In 2008, we did the Warped Tour with them. So
it was about then.
It
was about then when Drive Thru Records had 3 stages, right?
Yeah, we were on Trustkill Records. We were part of.
Right, but do you remember Drive Thru Records?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Drive Thru Records, you know, they're the ones who discovered Newfound Glory, as well as RX Bandits and River Phoenix, and they became Phoenix, whatever, TM or something.
Yeah. I played with the RX Bandits as well, so.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was all one big posse, right? So I was in that groove, too. So I probably came on stage or off stage right before or after you. Who knows?
Well, I admire you and your work, and I always look forward to the new stuff that you have coming out because everything you do is fantastic. It's really keep going because you're an inspiration. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I need to hear that, so thank you.
Ryan, thanks for the call.
Guys, let me do a bit of quick plugging because I do have a few things I need to get off my chest.
Go ahead, plug away, my friend.
So, let's see, we got a lot of stuff coming out right now, a lot of stuff. This is actually the most product I've ever put out in 1 year, and probably up there is like one of the most strong palettes of new material that probably any artist has done in 1 year. I've got, you know, of course, the Corey's Angels world with the new website, with the new social club and all that stuff that we're still creating and launching, and there's going to be a development wing, a production wing, a talent wing, 360 management, I mean, just everything in there. So there's that, and that's kind of going to be breaking over the next couple months. But in October, we'll be launching the new site. But we are opening the site in the next week. I don't know when because we're working on the technical difficulties. But we are launching the brand new website for that within the next week at Corey'sAngels.com, and we are going to start selling our memberships with 25% off of an annual membership fee for whatever tier that you choose. So, just to let people know, it is going to become a reality within the next couple months, and you can go sign up now if you want to become part of the Corey's Angels world. That's number one. Number two, along with that, as I said before, we have the new album coming out in October. It's called Angelic to the Core. There's 3 songs that have angel themes in them. And the first one was, of course, Ascension Millennium, which is out now. You can still see the video on YouTube on my own personal page, which is Corey Feldman's YouTube channel. You can also still find it on MTV if you want to just see like the little MTV logo on it, which is always fun. And you can download the song right now on iTunes and Rhapsody and Amazon and Napster and all the great, digital releases that are out there. You can go find it. And as well as we released a remix version by a great group of DJs, a little DJ unit called the Glasses Boys. And they're out of Holland, and they did an incredible remix on it. So if you like house music, if you like industrial, techno, whatever, you're going to love this remix because it's super strong. And then for my birthday, we decided to re-release my first two solo albums digitally for the first time ever. So right now you can go and find my first album ever, which is called Love Left, on Rhapsody, Amazon, blah, blah, blah. And then the second album, or the second solo album, which was called Former Child Actor, is also available digitally for the first time ever right now. On top of all that, I have a book coming out, Choreography. That'll be out October 29th. It's available for pre-sales now. On top of all that, there is a couple films on the way, and the first of which is going to be for all the Friday the 13th fans, and this is an area where I haven't visited in many, many years, but we have made the kind of end-all, be-all documentary, if you will, about the Friday the 13th series. And I am actually the host and narrator of this film. So that is coming out as a giant Blu-ray pack at the end of this month, actually. So it's called The Memories of Camp Crystal Lake. And, it's a big, giant, multi-DVD Blu-ray pack of all the Friday the 13th films remastered and blah, 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 digitally remastered, blah, blah, whatever you want to call it. And then the documentary in there, which I host and narrate. We have the Pink Floyd Sid Barrett documentary coming out, which I'm a part of. There's about 5 little independent films, which I don't even remember the names of all of them, or I'd tell you, but they're all going to be coming out over the next 6 months. And then the Big Mac Daddy film, which I'm most excited about, which is actually going to be my first lead role in a theatrical release in the United States in 15 years. And this film is called The M Word, and it's directed by legendary art house director Henry Jaglom, and it stars Tana Frederick, who's an amazing comedy actress. She's been in many of his films, and she does a lot of live theater and stuff like that. And it's also starring Michael Imperioli from The Sopranos, nice, and Francis Fisher, who's one of the stars of Titanic. So that film will be in theaters around November, I believe. I don't have the exact release date yet. And then, the next single for my new album, which should be out in the next couple weeks. So please stay tuned on that. The album itself is called Angelic to the Core. And you can find out more about all of this by going to my main website, CoreyFeldman.net, or my Facebook page, or Twitter, where you found me, at Corey_Feldman, or you can follow Corey's Angels at Corey's Angels, or you can go to the Corey's Angels Facebook page, or you can go to Corey'sAngels.com, or you can become a member of Corey'sAngels.com. Whew. Okay, I think that's it.
How do you sleep? I mean, really?
Very little. Sometimes literally 2 or 3 hours a night. Because on top of all that, I got to be dad, right?
Yeah,
so,
right.
Wow.
Obviously,
when my kid's not here, that's when we do all the Corey's Angels activities and whatever, Playboy stuff. But aside from that, when my kid is here, I'm on lockdown. Like, there's no parties, there's no going out. I don't even go out. I don't go out at all when my kid's home. I stay home with him every single night because that is my dedication and honor to my child.
Nice.
So, no, I don't really sleep much.
All right, well, 2 things before we let you go. One, I'm going to ask you to cut a live ID for me. Just say, this is Corey Feldman, and you're listening to Totally Driven Radio.
Okay. This is Corey Feldman, and you are listening to Totally Driven Radio.
Thank you. And the next one is, before the book comes out in October, you have to come back on. This way we can hype the book up some more.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, we can get a bit more in depth into what's really going on in there.
Cool. Yeah, because there's so much more to talk about.
We are creating an audio book as well.
Cool.
So there'll also be an audio book, which I am going to narrate myself. Oh yeah, and the Ninja Turtles return. That's kind of exciting too. So
nice. You got it all going on. Corey, I can't thank you enough. I'm so happy we got this straightened out, and you got to come on, and you got totally driven,
and we fantastic. Thank you very much, by the way, for the research and for the intelligent, thought-provoking interview, and for really kind of just doing it the right way. I appreciate that, because you never know what you're getting yourself into these days. But you guys are true pros. So thank you.
You know what? I want to thank you for something too. Thank you for the whole positive message, because I believe so much in that whole positivity thing. I can't thank you enough. And I want to thank our fans that we allowed on the phone for being positive and not being negative calls. So thanks
for
all that.
Every single one of those callers was valuable, so thank you very much so.
And, Frank, you want to add anything before we go?
Just thanks a lot. I really enjoyed the interview, having a chance to talk to you, and anytime you want to come back on the show, I mean, we'll make room, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you guys rock, and thank you for the support. I do appreciate it.
Cool. You do, too. Thanks again, Corey.
Okay, guys. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Corey Feldman, everybody. How incredible was that, Frank?
You know what? That was such a great interview. You never know what you're getting into when a lot of people call, and you don't know whether they're going to be on the phone for 15 minutes. And he was just so wonderful. I mean, he wanted to answer every question. He wanted to talk. I can't wait to have him back on, because I'll be honest with you, him writing a book interests me, because he's had the type of life that I actually would want to read about. Because, like he said, he was doing this since he was 3 years old.
Yeah.
And, so you got almost 40 years of being in the business, and the stories he's going to have in that book and I mean, he just gave us a taste of them today. It's going to be awesome. And what a great guest, what a great guy. And he lives what he says. He said that he was going to, he touches base with his fans on Twitter, and we're living proof of that.
I'll tell you what, too. I mean, we just went an hour and a half with Corey. We could have went another hour and a half easy and still not have put a dent into half the things the guy's done in his life.